Man, I'm getting really tired of this fucking goddamn internet. I'm basically repeating myself, but it doesn't matter. Like, dude. This is what separates me from the delusions. Is even though I like canes and I think they're cool how people like go out of their way to like carve it and do like cool fucking shit with it. And like you can custom make, you take something that you like and custom make it kind of thing. That it doesn't have to be a reflection on your mobility or anything. Like this is what separates people from like if you're doing it for a costume, it can be a bit insensitive to people who actually have to use them. That's what I'm saying, YouTube. Like, if you have like a Halloween costume and it's Halloween kind of thing, and you got this like maybe you're dressed as a pimp for Halloween. So of course you want some like legit, this motherfucker is in my collection. I paid $108 for it because the last one I bought for it didn't have a sword. And the one I bought before it, YouTube, did, but I was so much younger. And I was sharing the story. It's like, okay, Jafar's one of my favorite Disney villains. Sue me. I like cobras. So, of course, you know how it is. Like, cobras are my thing, and this is I mean, it's cool looking, it don't unscrew right here and turn into a sword cane, which sword canes are fun to have, but they're extremely illegal in certain states. Wyoming, however, not so much. No. And I'm like, man, and the whole thing I was going off on before the video cut out on my last video was like, hey, senior citizens who have to use a cane should be allowed to carry a sword cane. Anyone who fucking fucks with, like, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I'm like, in certain circumstances, like, if you have an elegant and very fun to fuck with, like, you unscrew this part and then it turns around and then this part comes out, and then you got like a little sword blade. Yeah, I've had a Cobra sword cane, and they're fucking badass. I don't really need a cane for medical purposes. I only got it because I like cobras and martial arts kind of thing. And that honestly, even when I was younger when I got it, now it kind of feels like cultural appropriation. Like that's a thing before it even existed, kind of thing. Like back in my day, no one gave me shit about it. If anything, you know, when I ordered my first one, my parents didn't know it had a sword in it. And then as soon as they fucking pulled it out of the package and unscrewed the head, they're like, oh, wow, he spent his money on this. And that was one of those, okay, you can't have it inside is what the trolls would say. But that was one of those, that's an inside thing. I couldn't take it outside unless the sword was removed. And I want to take it outside because, you know, how it is. And my dad didn't want me to get arrested for carrying it, so compromise was made. And the original one, my dad took the sword off so that I could carry it outside. And nobody was just like, oh, hey, you know, like that motherfucker got a sword on his shit. No, like, okay, I'm not trying to be a spurgy little asshole, but like, sword canes are pretty sweet. You unscrew the cobra head and pull it out, and it's like instead of like a Draco Malfoy one. This one does not have a sword in it. I paid $108 for it. Then when I went to go use it, the head came off, and I repaired it, and then re-spray painted the entire thing black. And then the silver head, I spray painted green, and some of the paint scuffed off of it. But honestly, I don't care. You know, honestly, I don't care because for $108, you can't go wrong with that. The last time I tried to order one prior to my first one, the second time I ordered one, shit you not, when I ordered a Cobra cane with a sword in it, the second time I was in my old apartment and fucking the cane had unscrewed like it was supposed to, but didn't come with the blade. So I got screwed the second time. The third time, I was just like, I don't care if it has a sword. And that's how the third time is a charm, I guess. Like, this is pretty cool looking, I ain't gonna stunt. Got that Slytherin color on effect. I'm not trying to imitate anyone. I'm just extremely autistic. And I'm not trying to cause any harm. Because I might say some controversial shit on YouTube that cause people to double look at my account. And it's like, hey man, I'm sorry I'm a little bit tipsy and society pisses me off. I have to call it for what it is. Although having this thing, no offense to anyone, like, seems a bit more fitting, especially with my thinning head. See, even I can have a laugh at my balding head. Like, okay, Cobra, Lord Voldemort called. He wants his hair back. The only time I would use this is for my costume if I had one. And at the moment, if the snow got so thick that I required it to check for slippery ice, kind of thing, because then that would be the only time. If I were to use it outside of anything else, outside of that, people would look at me like I'm an insensitive asshole. And rightfully so, because I realistically don't need a walking stick. But the only reason I bought it was because, like I said, Jafar is my favorite Disney villain. And he had the Cobra staff. And cobras are kind of my thing. So I'm like, suck it, trolls. And I've had Cobra canes where they had like the sword, you know. That was my first one. And when I unscrewed the Cobra head, you got this big old fucking sharp sword. And yeah, sword canes are pretty fucking sweet, in my opinion. If you're like into martial arts, I like personal protection. No, here's the thing about YouTube. I didn't spend a pretty penny on the second time I ordered a Cobra cane with a sword. The second time, and it didn't get or have it. Uh, I don't hold it against anybody the first time, to be honest. I totally get it because it's like if you're a fucking angsty teenager and all of a sudden you got a fucking deadly sword in your hands. People tend to get a little concerned about that. Back in my day, that was what I did. I mean, and in today's society, I can definitely see why that would be super edgy. Like, you got a sword. So my only complaint about this one is it's not a sword cane, just a regular black and green cobra. And I've had it for a hot minute. I like the way the colors turned out because it's my two favorite colors, black and green. And the touch of silver gives it like a Slytherin touch. It doesn't have a solid stopper on the bottom because, like I said, I don't really need it for medical reasons. I got it for like a gothic costume. There are plenty of people who are gothic and then they buy, you know, they'll get like, you know, yeah. So it's not necessarily a bad thing as long as you don't go around limping on it. Like, oh my God. Like you broke your leg in some great war and you're going around spewing some bullshit story. Like, fuck off, dude. Like, you get it because, okay, Jafar's your favorite Disney villain because of his Cobra staff. And you grew up with Gilbert Gottfried doing Iago's voice. I know it sounds cheesy as fuck, but then you got the goatee to go with it. Like, I'm able to legitimately grow a Jafar goatee. That's no bullshit, YouTube. And like, most people aren't gonna throw a fit about it because as long as you're not walking around like you actually need it, kind of thing, then people aren't gonna look at you like you're an insensitive. You have it in your collection of staffs and scepters. And that's exactly what I do, is because a lot of my wands I made myself. A lot of the wands and scepters I made myself. And this thing started off as like a really nice dark brown, and the head was solid silver with red eyes. But the red eyes, pretty much, one of them fell out, the other one's still in there. And it just didn't look right. So, being Cobra, I like black and green. I like cobras. So then after, because when I was walking around with this, the head came off. And I said to myself, fuck that shit. I took some tin foil, put it on the inside of the hole right here. And that created like a little bit of friction. So when I popped it back into place, and I used some like clear drying Gorilla Glue, and I glued this back onto this right here. And then as soon as this cobra head was on top of the shaft here, I spray painted it all black. I'm like, oh, I got it glued back into place. And as soon as I used a little bit of Gorilla Glue, not a sponsor, it fixed the issue with this right here. And now this is solid as shit. And it's just like, oh, hey, look at that. I paid $108 for a nice walking stick. And the head comes off. Trust and believe I'm gonna fix it. A little bit of tin foil on the inside of the head where it's hollowed out. And it created a perfect little wedge. And now it supports my weight. It doesn't fucking come off. It does what it's supposed to do. And you can't complain about that. Like, I don't mean to fucking piss off anyone with my videos. I just ask questions, and I get sick and tired of women and men treating each other like shit. And then I get caught in the crossfire just because, well, you're a disgusting, dirty white boy. That's how it feels, YouTube. And I done said it. And if you want to sit here and whine about white fragility and tell me to check my privilege and tell me I'm a piece of shit, then have at it, house. Say what you gotta say. I'm like, man, my two favorite colors are black and green. Even though I graduated from NC, my favorite reptile is, of course, a cobra. So yeah, I like my Cobra cane. This thing is cool, man. Even though I don't need it for medical reasons, it's more for nostalgia. But if it gets to a point where I need it for medical reasons, it's right here. I just go to the doctor and be like, bitch, put a stopper on this. Yeah. The thing about it is, it don't gotta have a sword in it to be badass. I mean, like, I know it looks tacky because I spray painted the Cobra head green, and I've dropped it a couple times, and like the paint scuffs off the green. Like, you may think it looks tacky, but I think it looks cool. It's in a Peter Schmidt kind of, not trying to like promote Lois's goddamned parents. That's what they call it. Not trying to make a Family Guy reference, but it's called a Peter Schmidt head Cobra cane. And when the fucker fucking fell off, I was like, well, that's no fun. Be nice to have this when I'm a little bit older and I actually need it. No offense to anyone. Oh, I know what I want to do. And I customized the fuck out of it. And I did. I bloody well fucking did. And like, I don't give a fuck if I dropped it a couple times. To be honest, I really don't. Because as soon as I did, the original Peter Schmidt color, like that sterling silver, pokes through it. And like with the fucking like nice dark green paints, total Slytherin colors. Snakes are just misunderstood. A lot of people are like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to fucking preach at people when I go off on my rants. Because I know woke culture already does that, and it's seriously annoying. And people get like offended because it's like, hey man, I'm not stupid, so don't talk to me like I'm stupid. I know the feeling because people treat me like I'm stupid just because I'm autistic and obsessed with cobras. But when I see society fucking being assholes to each other and then bitching because they can't find anyone, I'm over here like, oh, well, Professor Cobra is gonna have to fucking explore this. And they don't like that because it's like society wants it. Women, men, whites, and blacks, and gays and straights to hate each other. It continues social discourse and chaos. Because when people are united, it makes them harder to control. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. If like women, men, minorities, and I might have gone off of my last couple of videos where I was just blowing off steam because I haven't been laid in like almost 6 years. And then I get told by society I need to get laid. And women get told the same crap. And I'm over here like it's not a need, it's a want. Treating sex like it's a need contributes to the rape culture we live in. You look at the assholes like Elliot Rogers, who pulled a mass shooting because he couldn't get laid. That is a simple and very sadistically fucked up reflection of how society fucking treats sex and why it's not a need. That women and men are held to the same goddamn pressure to do that kind of thing. And it's like, well, if you can't find somebody, you're a loser. And I'm like, that's stupid. YouTube, it's fucking stupid. I'm over here like, you know what? Just listen to the music you like to listen to and ignore society's bullshit when it comes to crap like that. Because then society will sit there and play the victim and be like, we didn't see it coming. And it's like, okay, you sit there and put all this systematic pressure on women and men to get laid. Then you put all the systematic oppression on people because of their race, class, gender, identity, whatever. And now it's like, you're an asshole for acknowledging it. Now, like, God forbid planet Earth have a nuclear fallout, but these people would not survive because they'd be too offended that the nuclear bomb dropped wasn't, you know, gender neutral. I'm like, people are dying because of nuclear poison, and you're pissed off because the bomb itself wasn't gender neutral. And that's an extreme example of me being a cheeky little cunt, okay? Not every British person, let alone people in general, are not like that towards trans. But when you got people who are just like, oh my God, you're one of those people. And it doesn't get seen as progressive. It gets seen as now we got to attack the trans people because they're the reason why all these woke tards do their shit. Honestly, Ozzy Osbourne's not gonna die for a fucking long time. He's about to get a second wind of breath. You don't even know. And I'm not trying to parody him or anything. I just one of Ozzy's biggest fans. And I can see it right now. Right motherfucking now. Ozzy might have had a really fucking shitty fucking last couple of months, but he's about to get a second wind of change. Sometimes it's what it takes. It makes us humble as people, and nobody asks for it. That's all I'm saying. Legal Mindset with Andrew Esquire. Oh my God.
All right. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you're having a great time out there in internet land. If you guys can hear me all right, if the volume is good, let me know. It's been kind
Having a great time out there in internet land. How about you suck my dick? Just kidding. Someone asks, as a YouTube celebrity who deals with assholes, it's nothing against my sexuality, but when you have a bunch of assholes who harass you on internet land, and the shit that they do should seriously be fucking illegal. Like, if anybody saw me walking around hobbling on my Cobra cane, even though I didn't need it medically, and if I identified as trans disabled and that's why I use it, people would be forced to accept it. But you got people out there who are bullying King Cobra JFS because they're bored, sad little pussies behind a keyboard. And and I can sit here and admit, you know what, even I can take the piss out of myself and admit I'm extremely autistic. With these people, this ain't about race, dog. This is about battling trolls. And a lot of people are going to be sitting there going, I'm like, okay, if the people who are trans want to throw a fit, people who are sick and tired of racism want to throw a fit, I'm right there with you, man. Because it's the truth, YouTube. Like, I'm going to finish this Sam Elliott fucking song and fucking. So much awesomeness and not enough to contain. Like, I was getting to it, and then, like, it got the internet cut out, and then I was like, I guarantee you the fucking YouTube trolls can never handle the harassment that I receive. They couldn't. They couldn't handle the alcohol that I consume, let alone the harassment I receive. Blah, 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 blah. And right now, oh, excuse me, I'm happy to report I've only a couple drinks, just enough to like enjoy a Friday, you know. Try to look back. Okay, so yeah, I polished off a bottle of Crown Royal and it had like maybe two or three fucking Imperial IPAs back when I was drinking a lot harder that wouldn't do anything for me. And then I did not intentionally mean to drink all of it. It's a force of habits, which is a shit excuse. Fuck sickos. But like at the same time, it's like, why is that person like that? If I really wanted to be a piece of shit and take advantage of the system, I could totally do it, but I'm not gonna be like that. So, yeah. I acknowledge that people who identify as man or woman or non binary, it's stupid to think about because it's like we've had 200,000 plus years of me man, you woman, and now that is just being flipped over side because I want like maybe a smaller majority of the population says And there's nothing wrong with being woke to a point, YouTube. Can we just say that? Okay, if Caitlyn Jenner wants to identify as a female, that's cool. We're not going to allow her to compete in sports against cisgendered women, and we're not going to normalize sickos. That's pretty straightforward. I'm sorry, but that's nah, B. And I've been going live on and off like the last couple of minutes, and it's like a lot of the shit that I just posted is going to be taken as hate speech. And I'm like, it's not even like that, dog. Y'all want to criticize Cobra for hate speech. And I'm over here like, man, I got people who hate on me just because I'm King Cobra JFS. And I go to say anything about it or flag their fucking videos, all these goddamn cocksucking YouTube accounts. And people go, what's the big deal, Cobra? It's just free advertisement. Suck it up, pussy. Being treated like, of course, a typical male. And it's like, I refuse to change just because, well, you get treated like a typical male. But I'm no typical male, man. I'm no serious. I'm no typical male. I'm a YouTube celebrity. And people dig my shit. I should have ended the fucking video response. Live video action a hot minute ago, but okay, so I gotta show off my staff and walking stick collection. Some of them are made from scratch. I got like two staffs that have real quartz in them. And people see that mystical, like Gandalf, Dumbledore type shit, and they're just like, there's a fascination to it. I personally do not give a shit if Dumbledore identifies as gay. I know that was kind of a big controversy back in the day, but that should have been that should have been a precursor to what the fuck was gonna happen. Because that people getting pissed off at Dumbledore because he's a gay character progressed into now we got a school who's obsessed because the urinals are now transphobic. I'm like, I'm not trying to be like a phobe or like anything of that nature, but I'm like, how does that work? Because J.K. Rowling was the first to give gays representation before it became the hip thing to do and you better give trans people support, otherwise you're a bigot, you son of a. And I'm over here like, okay, so J.K. Rowling did it before it was all the rage and all about being trendy. And you know what kills me about this is the women who bitch about the LGBTQ transphobic bullshit that J.K. Rowling spews. It's like, okay, if you identify as a woman and women are getting raped and then abusing trans rights for political correctness, like, okay, so a dude rapes like 4 or 5 women and then at the last minute identifies as trans. So now you have to take that man that now identifies, excuse me, you have to take that woman and throw her in the female's prison. And it's like, okay, so the dude's convicted of raping 4 women, and you throw him into a female prison because they identify as female. And if you don't recognize their pronouns, you're a piece of shit. And a lot of people are seeing crazy crap like that and going, okay, there's a big difference between being like, if Caitlyn Jenner wants to say she's a female, that's fine. You don't see her raping her fellow females. And furthermore, it's like when J.K. Rowling speaks up as a fellow female and says, hey, you guys, it's kind of bullshit that they're abusing trans rights like this. And then the fucking radical left loses their shit and calls J.K. Rowling a transphobe. And I'm saying a lot of controversial shit on YouTube Live, but fuck them, I don't care. Like, you can't sit there and say that gender does not exist, but then at the same time demand everyone respect your gender pronouns. And then as soon as J.K. Rowling says, okay, some assholes abusing trans rights, that's a bit too far. Now, if I say this crap on YouTube, a lot of people are going to get super upset. Like, Cobra, you got to watch what you say on YouTube. I'm like, no, I don't. No, the fuck I don't. YouTube wants to sit there and encourage bullying on their platform. You know, it's really fucking sad when one of my cyber detective. Okay, here's the thing of it. I have a fan who knows a cyber detective. I'm not going to give out details, but that cyber detective knows somebody in YouTube, and that's the only reason my account got unbanned before Friday, and I was able to post videos on YouTube via Valentine's Day, which not necessarily a bad thing, just me grumping and griping because shit falls apart and I hate how people are just shit to each other. Uh, well, I want to finish this Sam cover and fucking go to bed because I got super off track with bitching about. Because when you hear about Sydney Watson and like how everyone hates her now because she's being called a grifter. And I'm like, okay, so you invite Sydney Watson onto your fucking show under the pretense of cute of age female. You trying to harness the power that women have once they turn 18. And you can't handle that Sydney Watson's more attractive than you are. And you can't handle that the female sex is more desirably pleasing to look at than men are. And that, okay, there are some feminazis who take it too far and like use that as an excuse to crap on men and be like, oh, a feminazi who hates men? That's an original. And you have to, the thing you have to realize, YouTube, is that not all women who hate society's bullshit also hate men. Quite often, you feel a lot of men feel the same way, where it's like, I don't like the way society systematically oppresses us based off of how much sex you're getting, what race you are, or how much money you make. But as soon as you fucking say that, people are like, watch it, Cobra, you're pushing it. I'm like, I'll show you buttons to push. At this point, improving gender relations is more important than getting laid, you know, because people will hear what I have to say and go, this guy's a fucking asshole. People will take all the videos that I've made in the last couple of hours, YouTube pooped the fuck out of it to make me look like something I'm not, because my trolls are bored, sad, and obsessed. Like the majority of our society, people just want the next big thing to be a part of. And if they don't like it, well, it's like, so that leads to like, we don't want to offend the trans people. So if one or maybe like five students, when you have time to process what the fuck you've witnessed in today's society, it's exhausting, YouTube. The society we live in is mentally exhausting. And I'm gonna put this sexy bastard up. My only complaint is I can't unscrew it and pull out a wicked sword, like, because I'll say it again, Cobra Cane swords are fucking sweets. You get a cane sword where it's like it doubles as a 2-in-1, like some James Bond type shit, you know. That can be very super illegal in your area, so you want to check. That's really shitty that it's illegal in California. But I totally understand why. Because the population is more dense. That works. Nothing broke. We Gucci. Don't want to make a shit ton of noise. All I did was try to put that back up on the wall and like the banjo leaning next to it. Kind of made that noise where it slid across the wall. The banjo's all right. Nothing happened to it. The wall's not scuffed. So we're good. We're Gucci. Like, okay, Cobra, sweet Cobra cane, man. Like, yeah, you should see the staffs I make. Trying to build something like that from scratch would be next to impossible. So, one thing I hate about having Asperger's is my privilege. I'm not just saying that as a white cisgendered straight male, but it's like people automatically look at me a certain way because it's like either they hate my guts because I'm not afraid to be myself and I get to do what I love doing for a living, you know, making my music, making my wands, my t-shirts, selling the tactical soap, you know. And people give me shit for it. It's like, oh, Cobra, you better get a real job. And I'm over here like, oh, that's hilarious. You're telling me to, okay, yo, my trolls need to get a life more than I need to get laid, more than I need a job. It's so obvious that my trolls are crushing on me more than I'm crushing on Ellen. And it's seriously unhealthy because they can't process it. People are like, "You're just obsessed with Ellen," and I'm like, "Not really." And you know what's sadder than that truth? The fact that the ones accusing me of that are the ones who are obsessed. The asshole trolls who accuse me of stalking and who accuse me of being obsessed with certain people are the ones who spend all day going, "What the fuck is Cobra doing?" And it's like, I'm over here like, I just stuck it to my trolls. And they're not gonna like that, YouTube. They're really not. I'm not obsessed with like Sam Smith, but I know a lot of chicks dig his shit. And it's honestly, it's like chick points. You know, when you sing the Backstreet Boys and you just look at yourself like, I'm disgusting for singing that on camera. What the fuck would Ozzy Osbourne think of you? You piece of shit. And then I think Ozzy would totally get it because you're one of his biggest fans. You want to attract chicks. Unfortunately, not every girl on the planet is an Ozzy Cradle of Filth fangirl. And this is what separates this may be the alcohol talking, but this is what separates the boys from the men. Is if I go to a Cradle of Filth concert and you know I see a girl who's into the same music I'm into, total goth, total my dream girl. If she's taken, then you back off. You simply just gotta say to yourself, you don't care how unfair that is. You don't care how much it hurts. You just go, you know what? That's life, and you keep looking for you look for something similar, and if you can't find it, that's cool too. If you go the rest of your life without sex, as it's not that big of a deal. As long as you're not a rapist, who cares? I mean, that's pretty fucking straightforward shit, YouTube. But people have heard me sing fucking Sam Smith this fucking song so many times. It's just like, ugh. Especially after Sam Smith's recent music video, it's like he's shirtless and being very suggestive with his shit. And it's just like, and it's like that's what chicks are into. I get it to a point, but like as a straight dude, I'm like, mm-mm. And that's kind of what fucking made that fucking video so edgy for a lot of people Because the idea of I don't care if Sam Smith is gay or straight. I don't give a shit. I really don't. He's got decent music. This song got me there. Like, okay, I hear one song and I'm like, all right, you probably got a decent sound. Even if it's not my cup of tea, I can recognize the uh the audience behind it. You know what I'm saying, YouTube? Like, oh shit, it's Saturday and Cobra's up late doing his naughties, doing a stream past 10 o'clock. Yeah, I am at night, but I'm not being obnoxiously loud about it. I've had a shit ton of alcohol to drink, and I honestly, I'm just like, it is what it is. 'Cause last time I got drunk, it was on Valentine's Day, which might have been a couple days ago. And then I lost these little cushiony pieces to my fucking headphone. And I feel like a piece of shit for freaking out about that dumb shit. Because it's like, hey, Cobra, you fucking schmuck. It's going to be all right. You don't got to fucking freak out about this shit, man. It's going to be all right. But like I said, oh goddamn, it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, y'all. And like on the weekend, I get a little fucking tipsy on the weekend sometimes. I actually have a couple beers for later, so if I go to bed because it's late. And like we examine the Sydney Watson BS at a much later date, because right now I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Like they're calling Sydney a grifter. And it's like, dude, you fucking hired her for your channel because you wanted a cute female to represent your sexist Christian ways. And then as soon as you say that, it's like, no, Eliza Schaefer's calling me a simp for Sydney. So it's like you already can predict all the fucking backlash that you get just for saying that. And it's like, what if she actually was? Okay, hypothetical. What if she actually was legitimately sexually harassed? A lot of you are gonna feel like shit for hating on her because it's like, oh, and it's what's disgusting about the society we live in is the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case, where there are some women who lie about it just to ruin men, and like fucking Sydney Watson, on the other hand, you don't know without like evi- evidential proof, and like that's how that kind of works. A lot of people look at Sydney and go and talk shit about her. But it's like when Eliza Schaefer and Sydney Watson first started out, I never sensed any issues with the two. Then behind the scenes, it was like, okay, Sydney Watson's atheist. I don't judge. See, even if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, I don't judge. I really don't. If you don't believe in Satan or whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? That's your choice. But like using my satanic powers to spread peace, love, and chicken grease, being a satanic hippie kind of thing. And like some people will get it, and some people look at me like, dude, you're trying way too hard. And it's like for the people who say I try way too hard, I say you're not trying hard enough, excluding X, Y, and Z. We're sitting here being oppressed by culture and by religion, man. We're being told by the culture, the very same culture that we live in, that we're all just assholes. And then if we try to ask any questions to make sense of an irradical society, that now we're being called some kind of phobic piece of shit. And I'm like, that is some systematic bullshit, man. Because I'm over here like, dude, okay, you want to examine society on like a more personal, fucking psychological level. And when people see what you have to say about that, they're just like, this mother telling it like it is. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sick and tired of women and men fighting with each other. I'm sick and tired of whites and blacks fighting with each other. I'm sick and tired of gays and straights fighting with each other. I'm sick and tired of cisgendered and straights fighting each other. And it's like, dude, as long as you ain't a sicko, who gives a fucking shit? At this point, I'm beating a dead horse and beating myself off in the process because this is okay. That's gross, but like, fucking, you get what I'm jiving at, dude. Fuck sickos. Because now you know the trolls are gonna say, why the fuck is Cobra trying to beat off dead horses? The fuck's wrong with him? And I'm like, I don't have to because my trolls are a horse's ass, and their lives are dead and meaningless and revolve around King Cobra. Super goth, bro. Thank you for the support. I try to break down society from a psychological standpoint despite having issues myself, and that when I call it out, a lot of people are gonna look at me like, you're just a stupid autistic who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about because you have Asperger's, because you're disabled, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the idea that people can't understand how other people work just because you're mentally or physically disabled. I mean, that's true to a point on the mental spectrum. Like, if you're so mentally disabled, you think you know what I'm saying? Like it gets to a line where it's like you gotta evaluate it case by case. But to sit there and assume that all mental patients are fucking delusional psychotic retards who are self-obsessed with their own delusion, I'm like, that sounds like the majority of society right now. Like, hey man, I'm not trying to fucking dog on people for being trans. I just think there's a lot of bullshit in our society. I'm a little bit tipsy and I haven't had alcohol in a couple of days. So, like, after this beer, I'm pretty much going to bed. And, like, this is the only. Actually, no, I'm trying to remember track of it. The second beer I've had, I had like four mixed drinks and the second beer. And that versus drinking all day every day is definitely a cutback. If you go from like drinking all the fucking time to like, okay, you know what, you haven't had a drink in like a couple days, you had like one half of a beer, if that. And okay, it's Friday, honestly, I feel better for it, YouTube. Like, I got a case of my beer, and I don't feel like having to drink the whole thing to prove anything. Like, if you're doing it for a YouTube challenge, it's one thing, but if you're just doing it because you like alcohol and you want to get stupid drunk, it's kind of a waste of beer, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get like a 12 pack of Voodoo Ranger IPA, and you're like, hey, my buddy drinks these. These are tasty, and you order a pack and you have like one or two, you learn to like manage your drinking because it's like, you know what? I'm tired of fucking not getting drunk when I buy alcohol. I'm tired of my family fucking looking at me like I'm a fucking alcoholic piece of shit. And then I get tired of society, the same society that glamorizes drugs and alcohol, looking at me like you're a piece of shit for doing what you do. And I'm over here like, there's a fix for everything, isn't there? Excuse me, sir, do you smoke weed and crack cocaine and snort cocaine and do shrooms and acid and drink caffeinated, bevonated, whatever drinks? Yes. Well, even though we glamorize cocaine through music and through TV and social media, we're gonna give you the finger for fucking just trying it, mister. Shame on you. I'm not saying you should experiment with hard drugs like that, dude. There's a time and a place, man. And that's called college. And I said that in like the last video and then caught off fucking bitching about society. The fucking trolls will sit there and be like talking shit on Ozzy Osbourne. And it gets me thinking about it. And then I say to myself, fuck the trolls. They're all a bunch of assholes. And I'm like, you know what's more satisfying than ignoring my trolls? It's going live for a YouTube video because my trolls are like, you better not go live, boy. It doesn't matter if you're autistic or not. People will try to fucking mess with your head regardless. So people can take what I say and try to twist it, be like, oh, wow. There's nothing wrong with being obsessed with people that you care about living a long life. And the trolls want to be like, "Oh, Cobra's so transphobic and homophobic," and it's just like, dude, how is it that the dude has tried just about almost every drug on the planet, minus like five or six drugs, is making more sense than the fucking brain dead retards that migrate in our goddamn society, you know? It's not this, oh, I'm better than you complex. If anything, it's just like, okay, hear me out. If someone says 2 plus 2 equals 4, you're like, yes, that is proper math. But someone else comes out and says 2 plus 2 equals fish. You're going to look at them like, you're retarded. Okay, that's nothing wrong with being retarded, but like, that's not what it equals. I'm like, I don't care who it is, man. If somebody was just like, hey, man, did you know 2 plus 2 equals fish? You'd be going, you know what sounds really good right now, man? A fish sandwich, man. And that's like the fucking conversation of, but you gotta laugh at the. Okay, final thought for the evening before I'll do the Sydney Watson video response tomorrow. I got sidetracked bitching about everything else because it's like Sydney Watson can't just sit there and be like, I'm doing my thing, and now it's popular to hate her because someone said a combination of words that made her look bad. And it's like, if you're a legitimate bad person, then shame on you. But if you're just using word manipulation because you got your feelings hurt, then you're a fucking cock, soy boy, fucking piece of shit. And there are people out there who are like, okay, like, you know, a lot of women get sick and tired of men taking over everything, including being a female. And it's just like, you can't have that conversation without someone calling you a T-phobe. And you're like, it's not about being transphobic, it's about equality, which ironically, the thing that breeds transphobia is the bullshit that these radical left wing fucking cunts are doing. But I didn't say that. Cobra, you can't talk like that because that pisses off the algorithm and the social media. It's because the extremists always take it too far. It doesn't matter who you are as a person, as long as you ain't a sicko. This is just the truth. It doesn't matter who you are as a person. Before everyone's watching the videos, like, oh my God, Cobra, shut the fuck up and just finish it already. Look, I'm not trying to be a dick and rip on trans people or rip on gays. I'm just trying to make sense of a logical situation. You know, if a woman said, okay, here's the thing of it. If you have a dude who identifies as non binary, but they're also a female, and if you don't call them by their proper pronouns, you're a bigot. But the human transgender language says if you're non binary, you don't have a gender. And people are sick of hearing it. So I want to wrap it up. If you're non binary, you don't get to throw a fit when people don't identify you as the sex you choose to have that particular day. At some point, it's like, and at the same time, I'm not going to say anything about it because it's not worth it. Sometimes you're saying nothing and taking satisfaction in being right and awesome is more important than having to prove something, you know? You notice the men who have to prove they have the biggest dick are the ones who have the most issues. And furthermore, I'm sick and tired of it always being about men's dick size. If you made it about women's tit size, you'd be called a pig. But making it all about a man's dick size. Oh, the only reason men like loud, obnoxious cars is because it's a superiority dick measuring contest. And I'm like, right, that's why women love purses, because it's all about how big their tits are and who's the hottest bitch. Go fuck yourself. I'm sorry, that was a little too edgy. Ugh, fuck. When I finish the last of my beer, and that's nothing against women, but like, y'all get why men act like dumbasses towards each other and get into stupid arguments for the same exact reasons. Like, here's Cobra preaching power to the people and helping women and men understand each other at the cost of people looking at me going, "You're a fucking inhuman piece of shit asshole." And if that's how people see me, well, that's their problem, not mine. That all the shit that I say is gonna get taken out of context anyways. So I'm just gonna say what I fucking say on my channel. And people watch the original video and it's like, yeah, Cobra's alright, man. He's a bit of an asshole. He's got a smart mouth, but he's alright. I'm sorry, but like when I have my gender and my race attacked because of the assholes in the past, I'm like, why am I getting punished for this shit? Because I have no control over it. I, as an individual white person, cannot control whether or not my fellow whites are racist. This is why I preach power to the people. I know it's going to sound nerdy at this point. Like, oh my God, blame white people for everything. How about if we're not allowed to blame all one race for the problems in our society? Why can't we work together for world peace, you know? I need to fucking go to bed because I've been up ranting and raving for several hours. And a lot of my rants is going to get taken as me being some kind of piece of inhuman shit. But for the most part, it's like, okay, Cobra's matured a bit. And he's a typical male, but at least he cares about women. And on top of that, it's like, oh, hey, I'm just telling it like it is. Like, I'm so grossed out by fucking sickos that nobody wants to hear that rant for like the 10 millionth time. Like, Jesus Christ, Cobra. Finish your fucking beer and go to sleep, dude. Like, everything I say is going to be taken as you're a racist white piece of shit. But at the same time, can you blame people for feeling like that when you've spent your entire life being persecuted by white people just because you're a Negro? Of course, you're going to have a natural hatred towards white people, even though not all white people are like that. And that's why I'm like, everyone's a little bit racist. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just people fucking have experiences in life. Oh, that might be a little too edgy for fucking YouTube. Like, it's all about racial equality, then you shouldn't be allowed to hate me just because I'm white. If I'm not allowed to, you know, I don't want to get into that argument because I feel disgusting just making the comparisons. Like, I'm so tired of all the fucking negativity white people have to face because it's like you're seen as the automatic enemy. Not only are you seen as like practically Lord motherfucking Voldemort, you can't do anything right. As soon as you try to feel guilty for these individuals, it's white fragility. So like, and like, I hate bitching about this because it makes me feel like I'm insulting a lot of people. If anything, it makes me feel like, oh, Cobra, you need to check your white privilege because white people didn't have to be forced to sit in the back of the bus. White people were not forced to drink at separate water fountains. It's not my fault that Adolf Hitler is a piece of shit and not like, okay, society sees white people as superior. That's the truth. And I'm like, if I had any way, shape, or form, I'm like, hey man, we're all superior in our own special way, you know. This is why I say power to the people. A lot of individuals go through victimization and just their own struggles. A lot of people are going to be watching this going, you know, and Cobra instead of staying off of YouTube. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm pissed off about the dry spell, but I'm more pissed off about fucking gender relations and racial relations. So I want to go off and just tell it like it is. If you don't like it, suck me off. I don't care. And then, like, this is be the final video on that because tomorrow, or the next couple hours, is definitely going to be a new video. Yo, it's the weekend. Oh, shit, fuck. And, like, I will be doing the response to what allegedly has been covered. Right now, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning, dude. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect Sydney Watson, but it's 1:20 in the morning where I'm at. And I pretty much goaded out of singing the rest of that song because of how late it was. And prior to my Valentine's Day video where I'm getting drunk and just doing my thing, I didn't realize how late it was. So it's like, hey, Cobra, dipshit. Like, okay, if you can't find it tonight, you know, one of my fans even said it tomorrow's a new day. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I'm not gonna compare apples to oranges, but sometimes having Asperger's and OCD sucks ass. but it also gives me my creativity and my freedom. I don't gotta go to sleep for shit as long as I ain't fucking being super loud during my life. But I am starting to feel a little heavy eyed. On a side note, like Cobra, you fucking legend you are. Saying some controversial shit just to piss people off and make them realize equality. Oh my god. Uh, uh. No, women and men get attacked by each other and by society for not being feminine or masculine enough. And now we live in a society where it's like, if you try to be masculine, you get attacked for it. If you're not masculine enough, you're attacked for it. That's where a lot of men feel, or at least younger men feel really frustrated, like they're afraid of being maced by women just because they're not attractive enough. And all she has to do is say, he tried to rape me, and no one's going to question it. And that's just how it is sometimes. That's not true for all women, but god damn it, YouTube. And it's sad because, there are a lot of fucked up cases where women should have justice. But then you get cunts like Amber Heard who lie about it, and it creates a paradox where it's like, okay, this wand is real, but this magic wand over here is not real because it's all bullshit fabricated by the patriarchy. And I'm over here like, no. Like, how many times do my trolls have to be bitch slapped in one day before I'm just like, holy shit. Normally I don't stay up this late, but it's Friday. And it's like, hey, it's Friday. Let's get drunk. Let's get stoned. Let's get whatever. Definitely tell you right now, I'm having a good weekend. Hmm. Shit. I was gonna count some more today, but about a little bit of sipping goodness for the goddamn uh, fact that you celebrate. Oh, hey, like you better make an inquisition on the fucking. Tactical soap's a business. See, I'm telling you right now, tactical soap can get my drunk autistic ass noticed. That noticed it. And tactical soap is gender neutral. If you're a female trying to attract other females, if you're a trans female and you want to wear it for other people in your position, kind of thing, it'll work for you if you're trying to attract the female sex. When people see that tactical soap, it's almost like it's too good to be true. And then when they rock the soap, they're like, no, it's not. Cobra's trolls are fucking losers. Nothing sadder than Cobra's rants and his gender relation BS of the trolls in the world who contribute to it. Also, the Casper Death Troopers / Cobra Stoppers need to stop being sickos and creeping on Cobra. It's unhealthy. And troll season is open.